summing up the results of 281 days of the war in Ukraine. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Happy viewing! The situation at the front today. The Russian Ministry of Defense officially announced the capture of Kurdyumovka, a village south of Bakhmut. Earlier, the Russians announced that they had taken control of two more nearby settlements between Gorlovka and Bakhmut, Andreevka and Ozaryanovka. If this is true, then the enemy has the opportunity to take the Konstantinovka-Bakhmut highway under fire control and develop an offensive in its direction, or strike south, towards Toretsk near Gorlovka. Ukraine does not confirm the loss of this sector of defense. The morning report of the General Staff says that the attack on Kurdyumovka was repulsed. At the same time, photos from the village against the background of road signs appeared today in the public pages of the Wagnerites. Also in the morning, the American Institute for the Study of War stated that it confirms the appearance of Russians in the eastern part of Kurdyumovka. Yesterday in Moscow they also said that they control Belogorovka in the Donetsk region, to the northeast of Soledar. But in the morning report of the Armed Forces of Ukraine it is reported that the settlement is located under Ukraine. Be that as it may, it is obvious that the battles near Bakhmut are still extremely fierce. The video with them is published by CNN. Analyzing this sector of the front, American military experts today began to say that the capture of the city would do little for the Russian army. In addition, in the event of a hypothetical capture of Bakhmut, the Russians, even without receiving serious operational advantages, will partially rehabilitate themselves after the defeats this autumn, near Kharkov, in Lyman and in the south. And they will interrupt the continuous series of military successes of the Ukrainian army, which would be highly undesirable for Kyiv, which, against the backdrop of these successes, is convincing the West to increase support and help win. Therefore, the battles for Bakhmut are extremely fierce. And in Kyiv they are sending signals that they are not going to surrender the city. Arestovich said yesterday that the Russians hope to repeat the trick with Severodonetsk, that is, force the armed forces of Ukraine to leave Bakhmut, but they will be disappointed. In the south, in the Kherson region, the General Staff announced a new trend. The Russians are withdrawing the military from the cities and dispersing them in the forest belts along the highways. As an example, they cite the city of Oleshki and the route from there to the Naked Pier. Apparently, there is an attempt to avoid strikes against concentrations of troops in cities and at the same time prevent a possible breakthrough of Ukrainian troops by meeting them on the routes. Or is it just teaching? Kherson is under heavy shelling. After nighttime strikes from the Russian-controlled left bank, the city lost only recently restored electricity. Windows were shattered in residential buildings, and a gas pipeline was damaged in one. Residents of the houses were offered to live in a local hospital or evacuate. From the right bank of the Dnieper on the left, however, the armed forces of Ukraine also conduct systematic fire. Since yesterday evening, Donetsk, which is not controlled by Ukraine, has been under heavy shelling, where it flies to the very center. Another blow was dealt tonight in the Kyiv and Voroshilov regions. In Ukraine, meanwhile, they are waiting for a new massive missile attack by the Russians. And not only in Ukraine. The German publication Spiegel publishes satellite images from the Russian Engels-2 airfield near Saratov and writes that they are apparently preparing for a new missile attack on Ukraine. The pictures show almost 24 Tu-95 and Tu-160 long-range bombers, as well as tankers, ammunition boxes and scores of cargo planes. The West continues to arm and train the Ukrainian army. The Americans will train 2,500 Ukrainian soldiers a month in Germany, CNN reports, citing White House officials. Russia is also showing military activity and for the third time in a month puts military satellites into orbit. On December 1, a Soyuz 2.1B medium-class carrier rocket with spacecraft was launched from the Plesetsk Cosmodrome in the interests of the Russian Defense Ministry, the Russian Defense Ministry said. The Russian satellite constellation is used, among other things, for reconnaissance and communications during the war in Ukraine.